Joining me to talk about this is Eduardo Alves. He's with the International Development and Relief Foundation, and he joins us tonight from Urfa, Turkey. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Morel. I appreciate it.
How far away are you from southern Turkey where this is all happening?
Well, right now I'm in the I'm in the south, actually. Sorry, in the south area of Turkey. Forgive me, I'm actually a bit sleep deprived. A lot of us are working almost 24 hours a day here. I'm currently in a town called Urfa, close to the heart of where the earthquake happened. And I think it's important to clarify that there are several earthquakes and a lot of shaking still happening at the moment.
What does your group provide? What are you there and able to do?
Yeah, so idrf is currently working with its local partners to provide pretty much anything that is urgent. So we're talking about food, medical supply. We're talking about also psychological assistance. A lot of the victims have been unfortunately traumatized by the experience of basically having their building collapsing and while they're sleeping and losing loved ones. So it's a tragedy, as we can see in the images right now. It's really hard to do justice to what's happening on the ground. A lot of us, when we look at these images, sometimes we intellectualize the suffering, right? But it's one thing to intellectualize it, and it's another thing to feel it viscerally. It's really heart-wrenching. There is no other way to put it. As a dad myself, I've seen so many kids just basically going around, emergency shelters looking for their parents, nowhere to be found. It's a really tough situation.
I'm sure it is completely overwhelming. How is your group doing? You mentioned that you're providing all sorts of aid, psychiatric help for those who need it, but how is your team managing now as we sort of get into a third and then fourth day of this?
Yeah, it's tough. This is heavy work, but we're fortunate enough to have been in Turkey for 24 years with our partners. So we have a lot of experience in delivering these types of emergency response and aid. Right now, the only problem we're facing is that it's sub-zero temperature. Internet is not working really well in many parts, so communication is very difficult. The infrastructure is destroyed in many parts, so it's hard to access certain points. But I think people are also really tired. It's draining, right? Like we have so much infrastructure in Canada to make our lives feel normal. And we don't even think about, the fact that the highway is actually, fine and the phone is actually working and tap water and food. But here, none of that is present. So it's it's an antagonizing environment to operate in.
Yeah, I'm
To live.
sure it just trying to get anything through must be very difficult. Can you talk to me and tell our viewers about what the changing needs will be? Because clearly, as you mentioned, food and water will be initially needed. Help for rescue, help for retrieval will be initially needed. What does that change to in the coming days?
Well, just to be clear, there's still a lot of search and rescue taking place right now, and the World Health Organization is estimating that there could be around 20,000 people who are considered to be dead from this earthquake. So right now we're still in our emergency response phase. Once we have been able to feel as if, the time is right for us to shift towards a more sustainable development approach, that's when we're going to shift gear and try to rebuild infrastructure, but also at the same time rebuild people, right, with psychological support.
Yeah, it sounds like there's an incredible amount to be done there. Do you have other people who can come and bolster your team as well?
Yeah, well, right now we have a really strong team on the ground, and what we would ask folks back in Canada to do and all over the world is uh, donate. Honestly, we don't fight poverty with good wishes and good intention. It's really about the dollar, right? That's what buys medical supply. That's what buy shelter. That's what buy food. That's what buy blankets. And that's what we need right now, cash, in order to be able to procure all these things. Just today, I was in a shelter and there was fighting because a family was actually in a state of hypothermia and they were almost freezing to death. And they were basically trying to get a heater from a family that had one. These are very difficult human situations. So, yeah, it's hard to draw a picture and do justice.
Yeah, absolutely. And money is what's needed to get what is necessary on the ground. Eduardo, good luck.
So,
I'm sure you're
thank you.
doing difficult work, but thank you for sharing your outlook and your work with us here, and good luck in the coming days.